What's up, you guys? Thank you for clicking on this video. So as you can tell by the title, Transformers Cyberworld toy line got revealed earlier today for Toy Fair, I'm pretty sure. And we're probably going to be seeing some more about this in terms of artwork, details, and maybe more images of the figures themselves. Which, if that happens later on today and this weekend, I will definitely be making another video covering that. But for this video here, I just want to talk about the images that I found online for the reveals. Now, with Scorponok here, let's talk about him first. I do like that it seems to be a mix of G1, Energon, and some new design elements in there. But at the same time, man, I'm just sick of the gimmick toys. Like, imagine if we got like a leader class Scorponok figure of this. Like, I'm just so sick of it, man. Like, I wasn't really expecting anything because we had the listings for these figures and they seem to be gimmick based going by the names, but we obviously weren't sure just yet. But lo and behold, this is what we're getting. More stuff, overpriced gimmick toys that's just gonna clog the shelves for multiple years to come at Walmart and Target probably, which I'm not really looking forward to. But in terms of the play features for a gimmick toy, it looks like it's going to be okay, I guess. But again, it would have been just nice to get a more streamlined toy line that collectors and little kids would actually be interested in. Like, why do we have to have gimmicks without good articulation and good engineering? Why do they have to be half-assed? That's not what we were getting with Energon, Cybertron, Animated, Prime. All this crap started during RID 2015, and honestly, I'm just sick of it. But Scorponok, in terms of the design, looks okay, I guess. Grimlock, again, cool design. I dig what they're going for here. It's a little bit different, and the tail is like this Gatling gun thing for his arm in robot mode, and then the T-Rex arm as well. It looks really dope. It kind of reminds me of his look during Classics, which is a design that I always thought was underrated for Grimlocks. So for me, I'm glad this seems to be taking some sort of inspiration from that. But again, another gimmick figure with barely any articulation, nothing of substance for the transformation and engineering, and it's just going to be overpriced, and it's going to probably go on deep clearance in the next couple years, I'd say. And then Skybite, again, I'm really liking the design. I'm liking what they're going for here in terms of referencing the that scene during RID 2001 where he was like disguised as a car for like this race, I think, or something, which was pretty funny back then. So I'm glad that they're taking cues from that, and they seem to be putting new and different designs and ideas out there for these characters. But again, this figure is going to be like $15-$20, I think, and just look at this thing. There's nothing going on with it. It's a super simplistic transformation, barely any articulation or paint on this thing, and it just feels like such a waste of a cool design. Now, sure, maybe in like 4 or 5 years we may start getting Generations versions of these, like what they started to do with Cyberverse and RID 2015, but why do we have to wait this long? Why can't this just be the toy line right out the gate, and we can just skip all this crappy gimmick toys, wasting years of shelf space and time as collectors? I just don't get why they're wasting designs that are probably the best we've seen for cartoon characters for Transformers since Prime, I'd say. Like, these designs are actually really cool. And then looking at, I think this is Snarl right here. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. But we got another Dinobot looking cool again. I mean, it looks like the design in the cartoon is going to be cool. But then you want some more? It's a gimmick toy with barely any articulation, barely anything going on with it that's remotely interesting for the price they're going to be charging, which I think is like $15 for this, which was just the price of Deluxe Class not even 10 years ago. So, you know, it's just the same story with that. And then you get Optimus, which is another one of these like $15 figures, I think. Again, the design reminds me a lot of Classics a little bit, especially more so when you look at the model for the cartoon itself. It looks even more like the Classics version of Optimus as opposed to this toy here. But I'm really happy with the design overall. It's just that, again, there's nothing going on with this figure. And then you get Mega Bull, which was leaked last month. I think I did a video on that. I remember liking the design. It is what it is. It's a gimmick figure. I still think the design looks really cool and finally something a bit different from Megatron that we haven't seen in a long time and basically ever. The last time we got something remotely similar to this and out there and different for an idea was during Beast Wars when we had that Crocodile G1 Megatron release, which was pretty dope back then. Still a good figure till this day. It had actual detail, paint, good articulation, and it wasn't totally bogged down by a gimmick to the point where you can't do anything with the figure other than what the gimmick is, And then we have Mirage as a jet. Now, this is probably one of the more out there things. There's something else later on that I'm going to be talking about here soon with these figures that's a bit more out there. But this is something that I wasn't really expecting. When we heard that Mirage was going to be in the show, I just assumed he was going to be the typical car or, typical Formula One, I think it is, race car that he's been since G1. But no, we got him here as a jet. Now, I don't know if this is like a toy-only thing or if it's going to be in the cartoon as well, but overall, whether it's for one or the other or both, I think this is a pretty cool idea for Mirage, and it kind of still fits into his motif and who he is as a character, hence the name Mirage. They could definitely play into that just as much or even more with a jet form. So I really do like this reimagining and this sort of different take we may be getting for this iteration of the character. And I'm really curious to see how this is going to involve his personality and potentially the story for the cartoon, because it seems like this is like a change that would mean something for the character. But then again, this is Transformers, and sometimes they just change characters because it looks cool or they want to sell a cool looking toy to kids. So who knows what this could be, but overall I do really like this design change. And there's already been people I've seen online complaining about this, which I don't know why this line is called Transformers. It's not anything else. These characters are meant to change over time. They're not really meant to be the same every iteration. But I don't know, maybe that's just me who grew up in the 2000s with the movies and all these different cartoons and comics where the characters looked different in every iteration. Nowadays you get the same old evergreen designs, and that seems to be what a lot of these kids are used to now, but that's not really what Transformers is at its core. So I like this change. And then we have Galvatron, who, again, I like the design. I actually do like the flame effects that they're going for here. They kind of remind me of the flame effects that we got with that leader class, the Last Night Megatron, which is actually an underrated figure in my opinion. I think that got too much hate when it first came out. But in terms of this figure, again, it's got no elbow articulation, barely anything on the body itself, barely any paint. Really the only thing going for it is its design and those flame effects that don't look too bad for what this figure is, which is just a simple kid's gimmick toy. So outside of those two things, again, nothing really too substantial here with this Galvatron figure other than the design. And then we got Bumblebee here, which is a bit of a different take than usual, but still the typical sort of race car, muscle car type look for Bumblebee that we've been getting since Bayverse. It was different back then, but almost 20 years of the same thing. It's getting kind of old now. This is probably one of the more uninspiring designs that we've seen so far for this new cartoon Cyberworld, but it doesn't mean it's bad. It's still decent. It still seems like they're going for something at least semi-different than what we've been getting with the evergreen designs the last almost 10 years now at this point, which is crazy. But again, same thing, gimmick figure, barely anything going on with it. Looks super boring, even for little kids. Hence why it's probably going to shelf warm and go on deep clearance a year from now. But this is something else that's just as crazy as Jet Form Mirage, or even crazier. G2 Megatron put through Bayverse The Last Night Hound design. Now, I don't know if this is for budget cuts or if this is actually going to appear in the cartoon or if this is just a toy-only thing, But this uses the same mold from one of those Hound gimmick figures during the last night, and then they just put a Megatron head sculpt on it, and they put it in the G2 color scheme of all the Megatron color schemes they could pick from, which is absolutely insane. I'm actually really liking this idea. These are the ideas that I've been wanting from Hasbro Transformers, from these cartoons for years now. This is the type of stuff we used to get back in the 2000s, the early 2010s, and the 90s. This is when Transformers is at its best and at its coolest, in my opinion. Again, this franchise is called Transformers. These characters are supposed to morph and change over time. They're not exactly supposed to look the same every single freaking iteration. Yes, it's fine for them to share resemblance to their character in previous iterations, but to be exactly the same? Hell no. And that's something that hasn't been working with these evergreen designs the last 10 years, and it seems like Hasbro is finally slowly starting to realize that, not in the best way possible, in my opinion, for the Cyberworld cartoon and toy line so far, but at least getting ideas like this right here, and Jet Form Mirage, and a Scorponok that kind of resembles his Energon counterpart, getting a Gatling gun arm for Grimlock, a car mode for a Shark Transformer Skybite, Mega Bull, the drastic design change for Galvatron, which looks absolutely amazing in my opinion. Stuff like that. That's what we have been asking for and wanting, but they just need to go the extra mile now and make them deluxes, Voyagers, Leader class, maybe even go into Commander class and Titan as well for these things. Really invest so even collectors would want to buy these toy lines, and then that would make kids maybe have more of an incentive to get them too. Because I know for a fact kids be watching these channels, reviewers, all this stuff, and they get influenced on what they want their parents to buy. I know for a fact because I was like that when I was a little kid. And I know that for a fact because there's kids nowadays watching my channel and others that comment the exact same thing. And it's just a cycle that keeps on going. So if they actually invested time, effort, and money into doing Voyager, Leader class, and maybe even Commander and Titan class for these characters, and frankly amazing designs so far, I think this toy line would be way better off. But who knows what's going to happen at this point. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. It just seems like more of the same old gimmick trash for this toy line, but I don't know. We'll see what happens in the next couple of years. Let me know down in the comments below how do y'all feel about this toy line so far. Me personally, I'm liking the designs, but the execution and the figures themselves look to be the same old stupid stuff that's just going to clog the shelves for years to come and go on deep clearance. And then you're going to have to hear about Hasbro in a couple of years downsizing, firing more people, pivoting again to plans that really don't seem to be working out. So yeah, all my social medias are linked down below, including my email if y'all want to hit me up about business inquiries, if you want to message me about whatever, or if you want to subscribe to my Patreon, link down below. It's got tons of exclusive content that I won't see here on YouTube or anywhere else, such as exclusive toy photography, stop motions, behind the scenes of projects I'm working on, such as dioramas, videos, photography, and more, exclusive music I'm working on. So if you guys want to help support me and help support the channel, I would greatly appreciate it. It is $5 a month. But yeah, guys, thank you for watching this video. Catch y'all in the next one. Bye.